Want something to make your brain hurt? Look no further than here. Welcome to WatchMojo UK, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 British movies that mess with your head. Before we begin, if you enjoy this video, please subscribe for more great content. For this list, we'll be looking at British films that take you on a psychological journey and leave you with more questions than answers. Be it through trippy visuals, ambiguous plotlines, existential dread, disturbing imagery, or blurred lines of in-film reality, these movies are sure to leave you reeling. Number 10, Hellraiser. Adapted from cult horror writer Clive Barker's novella The Hellbound Heart and directed by the author himself, Hellraiser has become a classic of British and international horror.
We want the man who did this.
The disturbing story of a man's search for ultimate pleasure, a pleasure which soon enough translates, of course, into unbearable pain, spawned a number of sequels that never really reached the terrifying heights of the original. Its sexually explicit nature, coupled with explosions of violence and gore, make it an intense watch even decades after its first release.
But if you hate us, we'll tear your soul apart.
Number 9, The Lobster. A strange take on the dystopian film, director Yorgos Lanthimos' first English language effort is as puzzling and challenging as it is depressing.
I was playing golf and I'm quite tired. The last thing I need is some woman dying slowly and loudly.
From the concept underpinning it, to the intentionally monotone and restrained performances of the brilliant cast, The Lobster is one of the most interesting and twisted films of recent years.
He seemed quite presentable. The next day, in the city, he found out that I was short-sighted too.
In a near-future world, single people are taken to a hotel and told to find a mate. If they fail to do so in 45 days, they'll be transformed into animals. And that's only the tip of the iceberg. Just watch it already.
And her lips were the color of roses that grew down the river all bloody and wild.
Number 8, Black Narcissus. This psychological, sexual drama from legendary duo Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger is widely held as a pioneering piece.
You're human.
Human. Yes, we're all human, aren't we?
Set in a convent of nuns in the Himalayas, this story of passion and jealousy has more than its fair share of mind-bending imagery and themes.
Sister Philippa is going back in a few days' time. I want to send you with her.
That's what you would like to do. Send me back and shut me up. That's what you would all like to do.
One of the earliest erotic films in the British canon, Black Narcissus merges the charged narrative with groundbreaking Technicolor cinematography. Altogether, narratively and technically, it achieved an atmospheric blend that was rare in the 1940s, analyzing the various and complicated vulnerabilities that make us human.
You say that because you love her!
I don't love anyone!
Clodagh. Clodagh.
Number 7, Spider. Based on the novel by Patrick McGrath, who also wrote the screenplay, this film about a mentally disturbed man, expertly played by Ralph Fiennes, trying to recall a fragmented memory of his past, is one of David Cronenberg's more haunted and complex stories.
You're familiar with the Scorpion, I take it? No.
Its approach to memory, plus its protagonist's unreliability, make it a film that'll keep the mind working days after the credits roll.
Murder. We're both murderers.
And that's before we've even breached the twist ending. Spider is a bleak tale, mirrored by an equally bleak and oppressive cinematography, and it's a film that certainly stays with you.
I ask you again, Mr. Clegg. Where are my keys?
Who are you?
Number 6, The Innocence. Based on the novella The Turn of the Screw by Henry James, and with a screenplay written by none other than Truman Capote, this psychological horror works as a suggestive story of either the supernatural or of a woman's slow descent into madness, or both.
Where are you? Oh!
The Innocence employs subtlety as one of its main strengths, allowing the audience's imagination to give life to horrors much greater than those that are even reproduced on the screen. As one of Britain's most cinematic ghost stories, it set the stage for much of the horror that followed.
Elena, you're home! Did you hear me calling?
Number 5. Brazil. Terry Gilliam's dystopian satire is a film that, from its hilarious lampoon of bureaucracy and consumerism, soon turns into an almost psychedelic roller coaster.
Are you alright?
Mrs. Buttle, are you alright?
It's a movie where dream and reality are never what they seem, and distinguishing between the two seems almost impossible. With a fantastic mise-en-scène that borrows elements from the mythical to the Orwellian and a number of brilliant set pieces, Brazil sets the scene of a retro-futuristic world.
So, I've got to have a heating engineer.
Thank you for calling Central
Oh,
Service.
shit.
It is neither the past nor the future, and the ambiguity helps achieve the film's overall sense of alienation and its outright weirdness. Number 4. Under the Skin. From its unapologetically cryptic opening to its masterful use of imagery and sound, Under the Skin is an eerie, disturbing sci-fi thriller that has no qualms about challenging its audience. Complex themes and deliberate pacing help to make it one of the most successful mindbenders in the genre, and one of the best British efforts in recent years.
Spoon jar jar, spoon jar jar. Spoon jar jar, spoon.
In fact, this film is wholly disinterested in answering questions. It's not about where the aliens come from or what they want, but how their presence on Earth changes them. It'll keep you thinking for days. Number 3. Repulsion. This groundbreaking psychological horror by Roman Polanski changed not only British cinema forever, but basic ideas within the genre itself. As Polanski's first English-language film, Repulsion is a disturbing story of repressed sexuality and creeping madness. And while the director swiftly followed it with the equally mystifying Cul-de-sac, this film still messes with the mind just that little bit more. It forces its viewers to share in a distorted view of reality, blurring the boundaries between real life and nightmares to frightening effect. Number 2. Don't Look Now. Nicholas Roeg's supernatural thriller is widely praised as one of cinema's most potent explorations of grief, and as one of the ultimate mindbenders of British cinema. Its complex structure and innovative editing, which uses wide-ranging techniques from flashbacks and flash-forwards to associative montage, often changes the viewer's perception of what they're seeing. It's definitely not a film that will make itself clear after a single viewing, but while it demands a second, third, or possibly fourth sitting, it rewards with a thrilling ride that will probably blow your mind multiple times.
Va bene. Tutti va bene. Io amico. I'm coming.
Number 1. 2001: A Space Odyssey. As far as messing with people's heads goes, few directors compare to Stanley Kubrick, and nothing compares to this. From its opening exploration of prehistoric man's discovery of murder through the aid of an alien monolith, to its magnificent Star Child finale, 2001 is the ultimate trip. With special effects decades ahead of their time, the film accomplishes a multitude of intense, psychedelic sequences that are never an end in themselves, but pieces of a convoluted puzzle waiting to be solved, or at least understood. Again, it takes some rewatching, but again, it's definitely worth it.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo UK and subscribe for more great content.